Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev. Hey, sister.
How are you doing?
Doing good. Yourself? What's up?
I'm doing.
What's
You know, it's a funny process when you think about a lot of things, and I know we've talked about a lot of stuff, but it's like I feel like I'm going through the death of an ego. Going through a rebirthing process, going through lots of emotions, and it's like it's because I'm not been the person to sit and feel my emotions. I'm crying a lot, and it's like then it feels like so heavy and at those times. So if anyone's going through this, I feel you. But we gotta gravitate towards things that are gonna help us, and it's like reaching out, talking to other people. Um, Also, the other thing I did today was just doing the Chat GPT. Not to put a plug out for that, but it's like talking to another person to get some insight. So I started asking questions because I had a reading recently, and she said that, and I had gotten the message that day, which was ironic, but for me to almost like cutting cords with the past, it's just cutting cords with the previous version of myself. And so I went on the Chat GPT questioning, like, what does that look like? What do you know, all these things? And it's like it would bring up all this information, and it would say, well, we could do this letter and let's talk about what we're releasing. And it's like, well, what does one typically want to release? Because not knowing exactly where to go to, and that gave me so much more information. And then whatever popped into my head, I'd go searching up that. And so I wrote down, I don't even know how many pages, 15 pages, 10 pages, I don't know. And I went out and burned them today. Um, just because there's just a lot of stuff, but that was what was recommended to me too. So it's just knowing that you're okay even amidst the stuff, and even when it's so heavy, when it feels like there is no, light at the end of the tunnel or end in sight, all of a sudden there is an end. And it's asking your teams for help, asking for them to help this be more with grace and ease, or or asking, what do I do with this information? So for me, a lot of the stuff is just a lot of emotional feelings out of control. It feels like I don't have any control. And so it's interesting because in the past, my ego could have puffed up and came up to distract and control the show. And it's like, I don't have that same ego anymore. I mean, I can cry on the drop of a hat. I sit and I look at Freeman and I find all these things that I just love about him, that I've never had these experiences before. And I'll start crying. I'll just start crying there when I'm just looking at him from across the room. And it's so much stuff. It's just so much. And it feels, I guess because I don't feel my emotions or hadn't felt my emotions, it feels heavy, but it's not. It's a lot of releasing. I mean, there's harsher ways, I guess I could be releasing, but it's that, so it's this way. And I'm also honoring that. I'm taking the time and honoring that. And if I can't manage if I can't feel good and grounded, I don't even bring my grandkids around, because it's like I don't have the extra to give them right now, or anybody. So it's like it's been a journey. It's been a journey. And it's been going on since the end of April. So
And it's not easy, man. When you're doing an ego check, dude,
and
it
I
will
and
rock
I was
your
all
world.
ego. Yeah, I was all ego. I was the bodybuilder. My ego is what protected me, and that's okay. And because it kept me safe at the time, right? But it's a crazy being in the space when it's so unfamiliar.
Yeah. I was at a conference this weekend, so I was around women everywhere, rooming with a woman, sitting with women, the whole thing. And to some of them talk to me, not all of them, about their perception of others, and asking, because they know I'm a coach, they know what I do, just getting my perspective. And when I talk to them about, that's how people show up, because that's what they know how to do, and that's their programming, and all the things that we've talked about over the many months of recordings that we have for tea time. So just for the audience, go back and listen to them, because we have a lot of conversations about these things. But to recognize that each and every one of us has an ego. And people will say, I'm not egotistical. maybe so, but you do have an ego that, as your human side, will depend upon for survival. And that ego will also want to make sure that it reaffirms that something isn't safe. So it keeps you in fear. It wants to prove you are right and they are wrong, which there's no winners in that typically. It's very defensive. Like all these things is what the ego does. And that ego also is for survival, which we do need. We have to use that for certain reasons. When you are stepping into the path of just personal development, you're not even at spiritual awakening or anything, like just starting a personal development path and working on yourself, you find all these triggers. What triggers your anger, your shame, your guilt, your criticism, your judgments? What triggers all of that? And what is it and other people that trigger you about it? And then when you start having that self introspection, the ego is like, ain't nothing wrong with me, sister. It ain't me, it's them. It ain't me, it's them. It ain't me, it's them. But really it is me. It's me. It's you. It's my husband. It's my son. Because we have our internal, I'm going to use programming, our internal our experiences that we've internalized and held on to that information. And when we start looking at all that and wanting to shift that within ourselves, it's all self-awareness. And it's not looking at, well, Bev said this and it pissed me off. It's, why did what Bev say piss me off? What is it about her tone, her facial expression, her body language, the words she used? What is it about the situation, the experience that had me get upset, angry, or pissed? So it's a total inner reflection, so I can change that within myself. But it's my ego that says, she don't have the right to do that and say that to me. What's up with that? Why is she being like that towards me? Why would she even say that? Why would she use that tone? Right. And it's like, she has every right to. She has every right to show up the way she wants to show up and say what she wants to say in the tone that she has, using the body language that she knows. It's me. It's, why am I having the reaction to her? And I'm just using these as an example, isn't that? But really, this is a continuous practice for me to utilize situations where I feel like I can feel like I'm getting frustrated, irritated, pissy, bitchy, whatever. I'm like, okay, well, where's that coming from? Why is it what they did or say? Why is that festering in me? What is, and I'll dig deep. There's sometimes it may take me a few days, maybe a couple weeks before I really understand where it came from. But I will have that internal question until it drops in as to, well, this happened to you when you were whatever age, and you're still storing it in your body and it's coming out. And really, my ego is storing that information to help me survive and to help me prove I'm right. Just all those things I just said. So the ego is an interesting thing on our human side. And when you want to walk more in a spiritual path, then things get deep.
I heard it referenced before and it kind of resonates with me. What do you think about it? Our ego is also our identification. It's our, it's our,
of course,
it's our separation, right? But of course, we're always going to have the ego, but it's like, how much of the ego do you want operating the show? And for me, it's like, I want less of the ego operating the show, because the ego doesn't know what's best for me. It might know what's best for me in the moment, but then again, that's not true either, because that's the old programming. That's the programming. Oh, you better hurry up and run because there's a tiger when you're walking down the street and there's no tigers. You know what I mean? It's just it's a different space. So it's really just like you got to feel your way through all this shit.
Yeah. And there's
And
been
it's
some,
not bad.
no, and that as you're talking and about the ego, and I'm saying what I'm saying, I've been internalizing some things at work, and it's a co-inhabited space, so we're not the only business in this space, and some growing pains are happening and some things are shifting and changing. And I have recently, and it actually happened today, so it's great time to talk it out so I can hear myself say this, is um recently, and at just as today too it happened, I have felt that the need or desire, whichever word, to be in that defensive mode and to stand up for our business and to say what's on my mind, whether it's right or wrong. Um, and so as we were talking just now, I'm like, okay, well, I'm being triggered by something and I know it. What is that? And what it is the desire to use my voice because I couldn't stand up for myself when I was little. And now that I'm an adult, almost a 54-year-old adult who has learned to use our voice. And one thing that happened today where I did use my voice was that uh, it was toward what had happened, a situation that had happened that I was not involved with because I was gone, but I just heard about it today, was some discord with our receptionist. And she's a sweetheart. She cries at a drop of a hat. Like, she's just sensitive, and there was an individual who had some discord with her. And so today I felt the need to use my voice to stand up for her. And as we were talking just now, I was like, okay, well, what's that all about? Well, it's because people didn't stand up for me, or I couldn't stand up for myself because I was little, right? You have abusive parent, and all the things, and you don't, so you want to stand up for the person who is not as strong or boisterous. And so that makes sense to me now. So now I know. Thank you. Thanks for showing up for Tea Time with Amy and Bev. It's been great.
It's still empowering, honestly, for the individual, but also we don't know all the circumstances for things, and I'm not even going to use that as an example. We could come back, maybe we responded the way we responded because that's exactly what needed to happen. We could come back and defend that, or try to think, oh gosh, did I do the right thing? But also just recognizing that we're always doing the right thing in the moment, and that was what was needed in that moment. That person needed to be defended because they probably weren't defended as a child. Being super sensitive, which I'm understanding now, it's actually empowering. It's a strong side. It's letting people know it's okay for you to cry. It's okay for you to have those emotions. There's like so many things. There's so much dynamics that are happening in the whole situation. It's actually pretty awesome. And then still having to go to a job when you're feeling those ways. I'm lucky that I have space for myself at this time to be able to do that. I can't imagine being in a place where someone's having discord with you when you're an amazing person or you're a sweet person, all that stuff, and having discord, which had nothing to do with her. It had everything to do with the individual, and then it just had to do with how how is she going to show up and handle that. And it's like you stepped
true.
up
That's the other
and
thing, is
defended her.
how is it that she was a match to that conversation, and maybe it was the opportunity for her to use her voice, or say, defend herself, or whatever the case may be.
or for you to defend her. Or maybe she needed that. Do you know what I mean? That inner child might have needed that, just like your inner child would have needed that too.
Yeah. And when you said, the death of the ego and being, you cry and all and be emotional and all that. Well, yeah, we're talking about death. We're talking about something changing and shifting. And so there would be a grieving process to who you were,
Yes.
and recognizing that has changed and you want it to change and you're working on that change, but it's the familiar part that you're letting go. And now you're walking in unfamiliar territory because you've not really been in this territory before. And so the death of the ego, or even the closing of the gap of between you and, I'm going to say, you and source. And that's what Wayne Dyer said, ego is ego, edging God out or edging goodness out, which means you're getting further separation from who you truly are, or separation from your source. Not separation, but distance. We don't separate from it, we just get further, more distant from it. So the more distant we are from our source, spirit, God, divine, universe, then the more we are in the human side of the ego, which is more of the survival, fear, shame, guilt, criticism, judgment, those heavier emotions. And the more we move closer to source, God, universe, or love, the less power the human ego has over us. But we still need the ego. We still need it as a part of us, as in these human bodies.
It's our identity, right? I mean, it's Bev, it's Amy. That is the ego. That's what that's what I come to believe. I think could change tomorrow, but it's like we are that. That's what gives us, individuality with each other, instead of us all being in the same. Even though we are all in the same mix of everything, we are the collective consciousness at the same time. But this ego, or this identity, is what gives us this experience.
Yeah, and
Individual
we're all here for an experience. We're a
Yeah.
spirit and body. We're all energy. Our spirits are all connected. We're a part of the collective consciousness. We're all intertwined. And our spirit is in a human body with an ego that is here for an individual experience. And that individual experience can still know and recognize that we're all connected. It's just a matter of perception and which space
really
do you
is.
want to be in? Are you an independent person who sees yourself separate from everybody else, or are you a person who knows that they are energy and is affected by everything that is, and that you're a part of all of it? It's your choice on your perception, but I'm going to tell you that your energy and you're part of all of it that is. And I think that we have, and I can speak to this because I went through it too. That whole transition from that survival and who I thought I was and all my belief systems and all the stuff, and changing all that, man, it was like a 2-year-old having a temper tantrum. It was not pretty. It was not a pretty transition by no means. And I was sick of myself going through it. But anyway, I forget what I was saying. But anyway,
Do you think
interesting.
when you were going through that and being sick of yourself going through that, do you feel like that would have been like a caretaker that would have been around you, and then not been like, this, that's enough. Your temper tantrum, that's it. You're done. Like, do you think it would have, my mind almost goes back to those kinds of times, like because I've had a lot of stuff that's kind of, it might have started on the surface here, in this time frame, but it actually all went back to the programming all the way to the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Just like not even having the patience. Like I even watch my kids with the grandkids or whatever, and I'm more easygoing about a lot of things now than I was when I was raising them. And I see them like correcting them for things, and it's like, well, that's not a big deal. But when I raised them, it was a big deal. So I gave them that kind of programming to think that that was not okay or that was wrong, and it was never wrong. But because I was raised that same way with that same programming, it's just it's it's
And
quite the
it just takes one person in a family or in a generation to make a change.
Yeah. And that's the thing, even typing in stuff like, how do I heal ancestral stuff? I mean, I have been asking so many questions just to see what kind of information comes up, and even asking other questions. And then also knowing sometimes it doesn't give you information that you want. And you kind of have to manipulate the way you're asking the question in
Right.
order to get the information you want. So I even asked about healing witch wounds there. I mean, like, because whatever popped into my head, that's what I was asking about. So whatever led me to the next thing. And it was just, I just felt like it was very guided.
Yeah.
And
And what we got to remember about AI, which is what ChatGPT is, I use ChatGPT on almost a daily basis,
yeah,
is that so when you search on the web, like I'm going to use Google, and you use Google and search the web for something, then you have a list of things that pop up, and then you have to click on it to go in to read it and see the pictures or whatever, right? And then you're like, okay, that's not it, and you go to the next one. And so there's all this clicking back and forth and trying to figure out which link is what you're looking for. Whereas ChatGPT or an AI that is a similar platform, because there are many, um, it's a it's a pool of all the information on the internet, and it's going to pull information from what you're looking for, your questions, or whatever information you're wanting, and it'll pull from that and bring into your answer the data that is collected out of that pool. So you think about all the information anybody's ever put on the internet, all the books and summaries of books, and research papers that are out there, newspapers that are out there, and websites, blogs, all the things is like this huge amount of information. It just pulls it in, and then it will guide you based on your question, how you word your questions, of what information it provides you. So yeah, you do have to I'm going to say manipulate the words in such a way to get the information that you want, because if you're literally like talking to a wall, and for that wall to understand what you're saying, you have to use the not correct, but the words that you will help it understand what you're looking for.
yeah. And when you're saying all that stuff, it actually, because I'm always like, when I'm talking to spirit and stuff like that, sometimes I feel like I'm not asking the right questions.
Yeah.
And now I realize it's actually helping me redefine, what am I asking for? What am I really looking for? And
Yeah.
then being aware. And you still have to use your discernment, because these are from people. It's not from spirit, or maybe it is, because spirit speaks through people all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do love the AI platform because it helps broaden your thinking as well.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking like there's like, I got 5 solutions, but when you put it into AI, it has this vast amount of information, and it will give you 50 solutions, and there will be solutions you obviously your thought process wasn't that open to think of those things, or not having the amount of experience to know to think of those solutions. And so it will give you a different way. It will just open you up to different new ideas, different creativity and things like that. I like it for that, and I also like it for multiple reasons. I could list a lot, but anyway, it is a good tool to have.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've recently heard be talked about is that more people are going to an AI platform to get information to help them on their healing process, which is great. And and I'm not going to disregard that, but I would say is don't lose the human connection. Human connection is so vitally important to us and our on our survival, that when you rely on AI too much for what feels like a connection to something and feeling that something understands me, that it's still a machine. It's not an emotional it's not an emotional reaction or connection. It is providing information.
Yeah, it's a database. You can't humanize a database.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I
Yeah.
don't believe that you can. So, I mean, someone out there might think that that's a possibility, but it's not the same thing as a connection with people for sure.
Yeah.
But it does give information so that we can come together and share that information. Or, hey, what do you think about this? I mean, there is so much info. I've looked up network spinal analysis. I've looked up so many different things, and then asking specific questions like, what is the touch? Where do they touch at? On the spine, and in the. I don't know if they use meridians, but because I hadn't gone that far into it. But just looking into it, how to be your own bank, like looking at millions of different things. There's so much, it just gives you more. It's a great database that it's all of a sudden right there at your fingertips instead of being like going to Google, like you were saying.
Well, and it is being used way more than a internet searching engine. That a platform like ChatGPT is being used to gather information. The popularity of that is greater now.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. It does.
Yeah.
But it's just how you're going to utilize it, right? It's just like anything. How are you going to utilize it? And I'm using it for good.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah.
And the
So
more people that use it for good, the better. I'm just saying, because it is
yeah,
a collective. So think about collective consciousness. Our energy is contributing to the collective consciousness of our planet and beyond. And it's the same with AI. The collective information that's put in it is what's growing the memory bank of that platform, or the memory bank as a whole. So if you have, I don't know, I'm just throwing random numbers. If you have 3 million people putting in hate words, and you only have, 20 people saying, please, thank you, lighthearted, fun, joyous type of conversation with it, the majority is going to overrule, and it's going to be more spiteful, negative, lower vibrational wording than what the other group's putting in. So,
gosh, when you're saying that, I almost imagine that if you do put in negative stuff, you're probably going to get negative stuff back. It's
yes.
kind of like the mirroring effect. Really, it's just like life. If you're going to put in positive or focus on the positive, you're going to see the positive. If you want to focus
Yes.
on the negative, you'll see the negative.
You're going to get back what you put out.
Exactly.
It's just, imagine that. Isn't that what we do? That's the way
Yeah.
energy works. Whatever you put out, you're going to get it back. It's going to be mirrored
Yeah.
to you. So yeah, same thing with AI.
It's fun. It's
Yeah.
been a nice exploring process for today. It really did. It really was beneficial for me, I feel like, today, just
Yeah.
gathering that information, because it just helped. Sometimes we can't always put our thoughts into words.
Right.
And so something else can, or we don't want to overlook something, and that can give you more information. So it's just there's so much information that's out there. And I also felt like I was guided to that today, to just do that, to go looking for these responses. So I liked it. It was just I just feel benefited from it, really.
Yeah. Yep. And it's you said earlier, it's helping you to word things in a way to be more clear on what your question is. And yeah, again, it's with AI, you're getting feedback based on what your question is, whereas with spirit or your intuition, sometimes there's an interpretation that has to take place. that those messages might drop in, or might be a conversation or a book or a song or something like that. It definitely makes us be more in tune. But with the AI, it was similar in what's your question and how clear are you on your question, or how are you clear on what you want to manifest or bring to you. How clear are you on that? Yeah. So
I like it. As far as that goes, it really, because it's really helps you redefine what you want in your experience. It really does. It really
yeah,
helps you put words to what are you really looking for? What do you, if you're the master creator of your reality, what do you want to create? And
yeah,
it kind of helps you along the way. It's, I mean, that's the way I see it's happening for me. So
yeah, it can be an amazing tool.
yeah,
So,
fun.
all right, friends, this is Tea Time with Amy and Bev, and these are the kind of conversations we have.
It's today's conversation.
And we never know what we're gonna talk about. So be sure to listen to some other recordings that we've done, because we don't pre-plan our conversations or topics, or I don't think in the what 5 years we've been doing this that we've ever really said. I might have said like, oh, there's something I want to talk about today and it has to do with blah, but when the record button's put on, it's still an organic conversation. So if you know somebody who's interested in conversations or information or resources, then be sure to share anything that resonates with you, that's helping you, guide you, supports you along your journey. Be sure to share that information with your friends and family, because they're seeking that as well. They may not have asked for it, but they've asked for it. So you can find us on many platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podcast Addict. So there's many ways where you can find us. Amy and Bev Community, or Tea Time with Amy and Bev. Do you have any final words?
If things start getting too heavy or feel too heavy in these times as we're going through all these changes and evolving, reach out.
Yeah.
Reach out to us, reach out to somebody. Really look for that human contact
Yeah.
from sources that you value.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, friends. Thanks for hanging out with us. Tea Time with Amy and Bev, and we will see you next time.